Live from the campus of Westfield State University, this is 89.5 FM, WSKB, Westfield.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley. With convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut, visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:01. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning, Pete.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
I feel so discombobulated.
Yes.
Well, you know what? I came flying in, which I don't usually do. I was actually at the senior center for a half an hour before I came here, but I was conferring with my kitchen crew, just sort of trying to decide what we're going to do for the next couple of days for meals.
It's going to be messy out there.
I know, and I don't have a read on what's coming and when it's starting, so we're trying to figure that out.
4 to 7 heavy wet.
Starting when?
It's starting
tomorrow.
They're now saying
when?
later towards the afternoon, but
Okay.
it's kind of pushing back. But that causes problems for me because I was supposed to be traveling tomorrow morning, whereas you're worrying about your stuff.
Yes.
I'm going to be on the road and hitting the height of it in Baltimore, so now I have to leave tonight and travel overnight. But this was going to be great because one meeting at 5 o'clock, it could last about an hour. I'm out at 6, right?
Yeah.
No, Flood Control Commission decided to schedule a meeting, and now I'm not going to get out till like 8 or 9.
Oh, Pete.
If I'm lucky, because some of those meetings have been marathons. So I'm like, now it's going to travel overnight, but I'd rather be down there and below the snow line.
Where is the snow? Do you know where the snow line is?
I looked all the way down to Dover, and it's going to snow.
Okay.
Like literally down, like I checked Baltimore and Dover because those are good waypoints.
Yep.
Down to the coast.
Okay.
And Dover had snow during a little bit earlier than here tomorrow, like around 8 o'clock in the morning. Baltimore, same thing, a little bit later, but they all had significant amounts of snow. At least over 4 or 5 inches, and that's going to cause a mess.
Yes.
And I'd rather be through that and sleep. I don't care if I have to take a nap in my car down there.
Yeah.
And, can't get in my hotel, whatever. But, yeah. Yeah. So
I can tell. I can tell our listeners, especially my seniors who come through the lunch line, we will definitely be distributing 2 lunches tomorrow for tomorrow and Friday. That's a given. So we're actually just trying to figure out if we need to distribute a little earlier than usual. So that's to be determined. We always make these announcements, and we will have a little slip of paper with the plan on it for when people come through the lunch line today, so everybody knows where we stand. But this is the challenge of living in.
Told you it was going to be remember how warm it was this summer? I kept saying.
Yeah.
We're going to get hit.
And by the way, speaking of warm, it's chilly out there today, Pete.
Yes,
it was 24, but it is windy. And they said it's only in the 20s today, and with that wind, it's going to be lots of fun distributing lunches today. We'll all have our snow pants on. But we can't complain because we had 5 days off. I was coming in today going, oh, blessedly. Last Thursday, we distributed for both Thursday and Friday. Then, of course, we had the long weekend. Then, of course, yesterday we had the ice. So we didn't, we didn't do the meal yesterday.
So right now, the forecast for tomorrow is cloudy up until about noon.
Okay.
With maybe 10% chance.
Okay.
And then it picks up to 32% around 1 o'clock with a few snow showers. And then it gets more steady around 4.
Okay.
And then around 8 or 9, it picks up. It picks
Okay.
up, and then overnight it's going to snow.
Okay.
So you might be able to squeak it in tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely get it in tomorrow. It's just a matter of whether we start. Our usual time for lunch distribution is 11 to 11:45. But our regulars,
I think that would fit in.
Yeah, our regulars know that 11 to 11:30 is our best time. The less that we have to stand out there in the freezing cold, the better.
A 32% chance of snow at 1 o'clock is really almost nothing.
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
No.
Yeah, so we'll get that information out there. So Pete, where is the end destination? I know it's Virginia, right?
Chincoteague Island.
And where is that from?
That is just over the Delaware line.
Okay.
So going down Route US 13, which is along the coast.
Yep.
Above that is all the beaches in Delaware.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Rehoboth Beach and
right.
Dewey Beach.
So where those beaches end, Assateague Island National Seashore starts.
Okay.
And Chincoteague Island is almost the bottom of that part, bottom
Okay.
of the Assateague Island National Seashore.
Nice.
So it's only about 15 minutes, 20 minutes from the border.
Okay.
So it's a nice drive down there. It's farm country,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, it's beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful down there. We used to go to Dewey Beach every summer. That was our, sort of summer vacation. Gary and Grace and I would go. We had friends that lived down in the Maryland area. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun. They would stay at Ocean City and, we'd all get together. And
Yep. So that's what I'm
Good
looking at for that.
times.
So it's good. That's a nice trip away. Launch on Saturday.
fingers crossed.
And the weather looks okay for that right now.
Good.
Launch on Saturday, and then I'm going to stay there till like Wednesday. And
Okay.
then work my way slowly back.
Perfect. And so I can let our listeners know, normally Joe Rouse would be my guest on the 4th Wednesday of the month. However, with Pete being away and Joe and I have been like in overdrive, so we're going to take a little break. We'll do a best of show next week. And just get a little bit of get a little vacation ourselves. I heard Bob Plass yesterday talking about that on the radio. And of course, I didn't have time to text him in. He's like, oh, I need a break. I want a break. And I'm thinking, Bob, you're retired,
Bob's a busy guy,
I know
though.
he is.
We give him all crap, but
I
he
know
is a
it.
busy
No,
guy.
I know he is. But, retirement does offer a little bit more flexibility than those that are working, a lot
True
of
enough.
hours a week. So,
True enough.
No, I know. Absolutely.
I
Are
mean-
you kidding? Bob does incredible amount for the city.
The mayor granted me vacation time, but it's not quite what you think because
Oh, no.
I'm still
No,
I'll
no.
still be doing meetings
Oh,
down
yes.
there.
I'm trying to figure out, how is this a vacation, Pete? This is simply Pete taking his work on the road and moving it, many hours south of here.
But my other problem is I have to use my vacation time
You and the rest of us.
because
And we're all in the same boat.
I
When the heck are you
have
supposed
it.
to take a vacation?
I have
I don't have
it,
time. Yeah.
but that doesn't mean
know.
I can use it.
I know. And you know what? That I have issues with that because I got a whole staff. We're all doing the same thing. Everybody's like, well, first of all, last year what we did was we shut down for a week in June and we just manned the phones. But I had most of my staff just took the same week off,
Yep.
so that we didn't do the lunch program. Of course, there were, I think, 2 of us that kind of just, manned the fort, just held down, answered the phones, did all that. And, that worked pretty well. I can do that once or twice a year, but it is hard. I have people that have worked for the city for over 20 years. They've got like 5 weeks of vacation.
Yeah,
And,
me. That's
like,
me.
That's you. Like, when do you take 4 or 5 weeks of vacation?
Right, and I'm trying to squeak
Yeah.
another week in the beginning of May. I'm going, and it'll be the same thing. It'll be a working,
Right.
quasi-working vacation.
Yeah, it's like, yeah.
And that one, I'm going to another flight facility, which is the one, which I think is very, very cool because it is, it's literally the first time a rocket testing program has been in plain sight of the public, and that'll be down in Texas.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that's the Starship. So the Starship
kinda
development,
cool.
it's the
Well,
first
that's
time.
going to be a big one. When is that the one in May?
Yeah, so that's the first time
Wow.
a rocket development program, the Starship, has been, because of the location, has been in plain sight of public. You know, when NASA
Right.
started all its testing, you couldn't see it, you know,
Right.
because it was on the bases and stuff, on
Yeah.
military bases.
Yeah.
Well, this is land you have to drive. They closed the beach, but you have to drive through the facility basically to get to the beach
Wow.
at Boca Chica. So, and then it's so flat that you can be across the way on South Padre Island and have clear view of everything. I mean, you could see it with your
Wow.
naked eye. So
Where is this in Texas, Pete? I mean, Texas
it's
is
down
a
near
big state,
Brownsville. It's right almost on the Mexican border.
Oh,
It's
wow.
As about as far south as you can get.
Wow. This is a big trip, Pete.
Yeah,
So
Kenny
this
and
is
I are
gonna be-
going on that
Yeah.
one.
Now, this one you're going on by yourself, right?
Yes,
The Virginia one.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna get away and just vegetate.
Yeah. Oh, man. That sounds so good.
I mean, I think my
So
budget is just
appealing.
about finished because that's due the end of the month.
Yes,
right?
it's due on the 26th. Don't remind me.
I know my
I'm
my
working
budget's
on it.
my budget's just about done. I had to confer with
working
some
on it.
people and get some stuff done.
Well, that's my problem. I'm at one of those stopping points because we're in the conferring stage, and I have,
Yes.
I would say mine's about maybe like 70% done.
I had to check with another department because some of my budget lines are contingent upon whether they get their budget line approved. If then I don't have to spend it, and
Yep.
you know, those things get moved around. It happens.
Yep.
But you know, I got some improvement projects that I'm budgeting in because I have a different funding source, and
Yep.
I'm saving money here, spending money there.
That's what we do.
And I think I'm
We-
still in the city like 30 or 40 grand.
right.
So,
We move
which
it.
is
We move it from one place to another. I know.
no small feat.
It is. Pete, it's always a challenge. Budget time is always so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's always, you know what? I've been here for 15 years. It's always the same thing. Level fund.
Yes.
It's always the
And
same
get
thing.
creative.
Level fund, be creative. Level fund, but you've got some union and contract,
Oh, see, I don't have that problem.
increases. I do.
I don't have staff.
Like I'm like, okay, so
My-
which is legitimate. I'm not denying any of us, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
our little cost of living raises. Trust me, folks, it's not a lot. You know, we're at 1 or 2%, whatever it is, but factor those in and then level fund. Well, that means if you're factoring those in, that means on this side your purchase of service and your supplies, and so you're taking it out of somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if there's stuff going on with a contract that's
Yes.
expiring and I'm
Yes.
not going to renew it, and
yep.
and then how do I fill that and how do I make that, and some of that creates city ordinance problems and creating it whatever. Oh, it's always
so
something.
much. It's
I'm
so
learning.
much fun. And we all do.
I'm learning.
We all keep learning. All right, today is February 17th, so let's do at least one famous birthday before we take our first break and play this song so you know why I'm playing it. It is the birthday of Gene Pitney, singer, songwriter, and sound engineer. I'm a huge Gene Pitney fan. I have been for many years. He was really popular like back in the 60s, and I just really love his sound. He was born on this date in 1940 in Hartford, Connecticut, and I did not know that. I didn't realize
Okay.
he was a local guy. He died in 2006 at the age of 66. So he was, in my world, he was quite young. Gene Pitney charted 16 top 40 hits in the United States, 4 in the top 10. Signed to songwriter Aaron Schroeder's newly formed Musicor label in 1961, Pitney scored his first chart single, which made the top 40, the self-penned I Wanna Love My Life Away, on which he played several instruments and multi-tracked the vocals. He followed that same year with his first top 20 single, Town Without Pity, from the 1961 film of the same title. The song won a Golden Globe Award and was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Song, but lost to the song Moon River. Gene Pitney is also remembered for the Burt Bacharach, Hal David song, The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, which peaked at number 4 in 1962. Though it shares a title with the John Wayne Western, the song was not used in the film because of a publishing dispute. Meanwhile, Pitney wrote hits for others, including Today's Teardrops for Roy Orbison, Rubber Ball for Bobby V, Hello Mary Lou for Ricky Nelson, and He's a Rebel for the Crystals. Rebel kept Pitney. Now, this is really funny. So that song, He's a Rebel, that the Crystals sang, kept Pitney's own number 2 hit, which was Only Love Can Break a Heart, his highest charting single in the U.S., from the top spot on November 3rd, 1962, the only time that a writer shut himself or herself out of the number 1 position.
Ouch.
So his song was number 2, the song that he sang and wrote. The song that he wrote but was sung by someone else was number 1, and he couldn't get to number 1 because of, his own song. Yeah, it was really strange. In 2002, Gene Pitney was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So happy birthday to the late Gene Pitney, and we are going to listen at 6:14 to Town Without Pity. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We'll be back.
When you're young and so in love as we, and bewildered by the world we see, why do people hurt us so? Only those in love would know what a town without pity can do. If we stop to gaze upon a star, people talk about how bad we are. Ours is not an easy age. We're like tigers in a cage. What a town without pity can do. The young have problems, many problems. We need an understanding heart. Why don't they help us? Try to help us before this praying granite planet falls apart. Take these eager lips and hold me fast. I'm afraid this kind of joy can't last. How can we keep love alive? How can anything survive when these little minds tear you in two? What a town without pity can do. How can we keep love alive? How can anything survive when these little minds tear you in two? What a town without pity can do. No, it isn't very pretty. What a town without pity can do.
Support for community radio on WSKB provided by Westfield Electroplating. Employing over 140 skilled platers, painters, and technicians, Westfield Electroplating was founded in 1946 and was the first company in the country to achieve National Aerospace and Defense Contractor Program accreditation, proudly maintaining that status for over a decade. Westfield Electroplating provides over 50 quality finishes to meet your corrosion, cosmetic, or performance needs. On the web at www.westfieldplating.com or 413-568-3716. Westfield Electroplating, putting the finishing touches on technology.
Join us the third Wednesday of every month with Selectman Joe Didi and his take on everything Southwick.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:19. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning. Hey, what did you do for Valentine's Day? Did you guys go out?
We did not go out. We had a nice dinner at home.
Okay.
I'm now trying to remember what the heck I made. I honestly, you know what, Pete? Honestly,
Gary should be cooking for you. On Valentine's Day.
It feels like Gary got me a beautiful pair of earrings for Valentine's Day. I was very surprised. Yeah, I was really surprised. And Gary was trying to stay one step ahead. So when he bought me some jewelry for Christmas, he at the same time bought
Smart.
Yes,
good job, Gary.
very good, Gary. He did a really great job. I'm trying to remember what the heck I made. I remember that we made something special, and you know what, Pete? We have been so busy at the center for so many reasons, and I was there this weekend. I had staff there this weekend that Valentine's Day feels like it was about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel like I can't remember what I did yesterday. It's been a whirlwind. This whole vaccine thing has just exploded. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
So right now, what we are doing, I think that people have started to settle down a little bit. I think the seniors are realizing, what we've been saying all along. If you want to get a vaccine, you will have an opportunity to get a vaccine. This is going to be a process, folks. It's a journey. It's not going to happen overnight.
Well, there's so much misinformation.
So there's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of confusion. So here's kind of where we stand right now. So the local boards of health, including the Westfield Board of Health, applies each week to get their 100 doses of vaccine. That's all they get. If there's a senior center that's getting more than that, if you're hearing about that, it's because it's a regional
they're doing
site.
public safety, things
right.
like that.
Well, it's a regional site, and they're doing more than one town. So some of the towns have gone in together. But even at that, they have to apply each week. Now, we're hearing some stories about some of the vaccine sites. And the other thing you have to realize is a vaccine site can be anywhere. It can be at a senior center. It can be at a school. It can be at a church. It's for whatever that town decides they're going to do. So, I know West Springfield is having their clinic at the senior center. It's not run by the senior center. That's a town board of health. They decided to use that building and hold it there. It's not exclusively for seniors. It's for whoever is eligible to get a vaccine in that phase. So right now we're at 75 plus, but remember, first responders and first line healthcare workers and those who are going into the home and doing home health care, those kinds of things, they are all phase one. So all of them are eligible. So no matter where the site is, whether it's at a senior center, a school, or wherever, any of those people are eligible. So
I got both my shots.
Yeah. Oh, good for you. I know. Well, and now how did
First
you
responder.
do after your second shot?
Local site injection. A little bit of tired, but
Okay.
also I was up late Friday night and then I worked all weekend, so you don't know.
Sounds like you did okay because I know
Relatively okay. A little bit of nausea, I think, and stuff
the
like
police
that.
department, they had some of them got fever. They had to go home, fatigue, but only like
See,
for
I was dispatching
24 hours.
So I was kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
You're really not doing a lot of physical activity, so I
Yeah.
could have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just kind of powered through it.
And achy too. The guys were complaining that
there was
they
a little bit
were,
achy, yeah.
they said not just where the site of the
Yeah,
shot, but
yeah.
just sort of muscle aches in general. But 24
They told
hours.
us take ibuprofen or whatever you do better, ibuprofen or Tylenol.
Yeah.
Take either one and that will help lessen the symptoms. So.
Yep. There you go.
So I was all over that. Just,
So we have, luckily, a lot of our first responders now have gotten their second shot. But so where we are right now is that the city of Westfield has applied to get our 100 doses. We have been denied each time so far. Eventually, we'll get them.
They don't have enough stock right now.
Right. They don't have enough stock. Supply is very limited. So people who are calling the senior center, what we're saying to them is this. If you are willing to go to the Eastfield Mall, which is one of the mega sites, but that is where the best availability is right now. If you need help registering, we will help you to do that. So we'll be on the computer, you'll be on the phone, and we'll help you to register for that. You can also call 211. We've had some people who have had some success with the state telephone, and that's the same idea. You call 211. and they will register you if you don't have computer access, or you can certainly register on your own. Now, of course, a lot of people are calling saying, well, I want help, I want you to register, but I want you to register me for, the Bay State site on Whitney Avenue or the site in Holyoke or wherever. That unfortunately, that supply is very limited. The hospitals all had their supplies decrease significantly starting last week, again, so they could get that vaccine out to the mass sites. I have strong opinions on all of this, but you know what? Doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. So we're working with what we have right now. So right now, we can help to register you for one of the mass vaccination sites. If you need, and we have a lot of families doing this, if you need to borrow a transfer wheelchair, if your family needs one, because the walk from the parking lot or through the site is going to be too long for you, we are doing a short-term transfer wheelchair loan specifically for those people for vaccines. So you can have it for like a day or two, and then as soon as you're done with it, you need to bring it back so we can clean it, disinfect it, and get it ready for the next person to borrow. So if that's helpful, and if that's the only thing that's preventing you from going to the Eastfield Mall site, then we can certainly help in that area. You do need to have transportation. We're not providing any transportation at this point. So because we have to get any transportation that we could provide, we have to get our transporters, our volunteers vaccinated. So, it's all part of the process, but we are working on all of that. We're working really diligently. When Westfield gets the word that we are going to get our vaccine, we are ready. We are ready to go. We have, I've met with Joe Rouse, the teams, the city, we've got the plan, we've got everything put together. So, for those folks who think that we're not doing anything, there's nothing we can do other than prepare, which we have done, plan, which we have done, and wait for the vaccine to arrive. And that we have no control over.
Right.
That is at the state level. Okay. So I hope that clarifies where we are right now. But again, I think there will be a huge difference if the Johnson & Johnson vaccine gets approved, because that's
the one that's the game changer.
That's
it's
the
one
game
shot.
changer. It's one shot. And it doesn't require that super cold storage.
Right.
And you're right, Pete. That will be the game changer. That was really going to open things up.
And they say it's easier to produce generally.
We can get more of it. We can get, we'll be able to get it quickly. So that's when you're
because
really
remember,
see
this
things.
country's also, even though we have some of the companies that are doing it, we're competing against every other country in the world.
Yes. It's not just us. It's not just, the people in Westfield that are wanting to get vaccine,
The current president, previous president said, well, we're going to have this. And listen, folks.
No, we're not.
We the people, all those people around here going, hey, there's 7 billion people in the world.
Yeah.
And we're just 365 million of that. We're going to get the percentage allocated to our population density.
Yeah.
It's just, that's how it works.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think right
it
now
ain't fair. We might be the richest country in the world, but we ain't getting the most vaccines.
Yeah. So anyway, we are all working on that. We know, and you know what? The thing that's so interesting, Pete, about all this is that for the most part, the councils on aging, our task, this was a month ago, which seems like about 7 years ago, but a month ago, our job was to educate the public on, the efficacy and safety of this vaccine. So in other words, to kind of convince people this is a good thing to do.
And that's part of the reason I factored in when they said, do you want a shot early on? I said, yes.
Yeah.
And I posted on Facebook the first shot saying, hey, I got it.
Here I am. Yeah. Yep. Well,
if that helps anybody.
The funny thing is, though, Pete, from our experience and from the other directors, that's the least of our problem. We don't have to talk people into it. Our phones are ringing off the hook. How can I get it? I want it. I need it. Blah blah blah. So, but of course, there are. It was interesting because I was listening to National Public Radio on my way in, and there certainly is a factor of people that are like, nope, or no, I don't think it's safe, or. I think some of the minority groups, who are concerned about, I don't want them experimenting on us. It's like, well, you're getting the same vaccine Pete Cole's got. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this all plays out. But we are working very hard on this. And at the same time, I think the other thing that I was on a Zoom call with the other Western Mass Council on Aging directors on Friday morning, and I think one of the things that we are all up against is that in the process of doing all this, we are still trying to do our daily meal programs. We've set up the tax program, so we'll be starting the AARP tax program next week. All of that took, you can't imagine how much planning and coordination, because there are so many new guidelines and rules and mandates because of COVID and, people touching things and drop-offs and plexiglass. And, it's really mind-boggling. So it's keeping a lot of us up at night. I rest assured, we are absolutely doing everything that we can in our power to make your lives better and more comfortable and safer. That's all we can do. And as Pete said before, as we're all working on our budget and getting, less.
Sure.
We're getting
nothing going on here.
Do more with less, as always. All right, let's do a birthday, Pete, before we take our 6:30 break. Today's the birthday of Ed Sheeran, singer, songwriter, record producer, and actor. He's 30 years old today. What a talent for somebody who's only 30 years old. He was born February 17th, 1991 in Halifax, England. After first recording music in 2004, Ed Sheeran began gaining attention through YouTube. That's how he started. In early 2011, Sheeran independently released the album Number 5 Collaborations Project. He signed with Asylum Records the same year. His debut album, Plus, was released in September 2011 and contained his first hit single, The A-Team. Sheeran's second studio album, Multiply, was released in June 2014. It was named the second best-selling album worldwide of 2015. A single from the next album, from the Multiply album called Thinking Out Loud, earned him the 2016 Grammy Awards for Song of the Year and Best Pop Solo Performance. Sheeran's third album, Divide, was released in March 2017 and was the best-selling album worldwide that same year. The first two singles from the album, Shape of You and Castle on the Hill, broke records in a number of countries by debuting in the top 2 positions of the charts. He also became the first artist to have 2 songs debut in the U.S. top 10 in the same week.
There you go.
His fourth single from Divide, Perfect, reached number 1 in the United States, Australia, and the United Kingdom, where it became the Christmas number 1 in 2017. The world's best-selling artist of 2017, Ed Sheeran was named the Global Recording Artist of the Year. He has sold more than 150 million records worldwide, making him one of the world's best-selling music artists. Globally, Spotify named him the second most streamed artist of the decade. So there it is, folks. And, if you're not familiar with some of the titles, if you heard the song, because I'm not a big title person, but then I'll hear the first few notes and it's like, oh, yeah, I know that song. You'll know like pretty much everything that the guys ever played. So it is 6:31. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. We're going to take a short break and we're going to listen to Ed Sheeran singing Perfect.
I found a love for me. Well, darling, just dive right in and follow my lead. Well, I found a girl, beautiful and sweet. I never knew you were the someone waiting for me. 'Cause we were just kids when we fell in love, not knowing what it was. I will not give you up this time. Darling, just kiss me slow. Your heart is all I own. And in your eyes, you're holding mine. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass. We're listening to our favorite song. When you said you looked a mess, I whispered underneath my breath, but you heard it, darling, you my dreams. I hope that someday I'll share her home. I found a love to carry more than just my secrets, to carry love, to carry children of our own. We are still kids, but we're so in love, fighting against all odds. I know we'll be alright this time. Darling, just hold my hand, be my girl, I'll be your man. I see my future in your eyes. Baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, barefoot on the grass, listening to our favorite song. When I saw you in that dress, looking so beautiful, I don't deserve this. Darling, you look perfect tonight. No, no, baby, I'm dancing in the dark with you between my arms, or barefoot on the grass, or listening to our favorite song. I have faith in what I see. Now I know I have met an angel in person, and she looks perfect. I don't deserve this. You look perfect tonight.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Bay State Dental. Comprehensive dentistry at 14 convenient locations in Springfield, Chicopee, Longmeadow, West Springfield, Belchertown, East Longmeadow, Ludlow, Northampton, Greenfield, and Wilbraham, as well as 29 Broad Street in Westfield. Bay State Dental makes it a priority to help you achieve and maintain the healthy smile you deserve. On the web at baystatedental.com.
Join us the third Wednesday of every month with Selectman Joe Didi and his take on everything Southwick.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:37. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. I am in the studio this morning with the chairman of the board, producer Pete Coles. Good morning again, Pete.
Good morning.
And yes, Pete mentioned that it is the third Wednesday of the month, and that means that at 8 o'clock, Joe Didi will be here with all things Southwick. But we also have in our second hour our Diabetes Dialogue segment, facilitated by Jen Jafune, our local dietitian and registered dietitian and nutritionist. And the topic today, because it is the month of February, so it's Heart Month, you know. So it's going to be all about heart health and how do you manage your diabetes and have a healthy heart at the same time. And of course, a lot of the things that Jen is going to be talking about is just universal for anyone to have good heart health. So I hope that those of you, even without diabetes, will certainly stay tuned and listen, because I think you'll get some great tips and advice. And kind of segueing into that, and Jen and I will kind of go into this a little bit more when she comes in after the 7 o'clock break. But February is National Hot Breakfast Month. So it's a cold month for most of us, especially those of us in the Northeast. So what better way to start our days than with a steaming hot breakfast? National Hot Breakfast Month is celebrated every February to encourage everyone to set aside some extra time every morning to make a hot, fresh breakfast. You know what they say about breakfast? It's the most important meal of the day. However, in the busyness of everyday life, it's easy to put breakfast on the back burner and just grab a quick granola bar on your way out the door in the morning. This month, we are challenged to wake up a little earlier and take the time to really enjoy breakfast. You may be surprised at how much better you feel throughout the day when you allow yourself plenty of time in the morning to fully wake up, make breakfast, maybe listen to WSKB or watch WCPC as you get ready for the day. Appreciating the beauty that the morning brings and enjoying a hot breakfast will surely make you feel full, more energized, and just overall better all day long. So, how to observe? Well, we have lots of healthy hot breakfast that you can whip up this month, and hopefully you can get into a routine and continue making tasty hot breakfast throughout the rest of the year. And, remember, I'm going to save the list because I think Jen wants to go through some of these. So we'll do this after she gets here, after the 7 o'clock break.
The whole point is to break your fast.
Exactly. Breaking your fast. Exactly, Pete. So we'll save the rest of this for later, but let's just keep in mind
We'll table that for now.
Yeah, exactly. That February is National Hot Breakfast Month. And the other thing today, for those of you who celebrate the liturgical calendar, today is Ash Wednesday.
I know. We kind of got gypped on the Fat Tuesday thing with all the shows because of the ice storm.
I know. It was a little bit
Do you
crazy.
listen to it on the radio when we're doing those? Did you listen to it on the radio yesterday? Or
I did not.
Okay.
I
'Cause I want to know
I
how
was
it
on the phone all
sounds.
day yesterday.
Like, I want to know how it sounds on the radio because I'm feeding it via Zoom out of here
Okay.
to the radio,
Okay.
and I'm feeding it to Channel 15 out of my house when I do a remote show. So
Okay.
I'm just wondering how it sounded.
Yeah, I don't know. Yesterday was one of those. The phone, it just didn't stop ringing, and Mary Lou was out yesterday, so it was
Gotcha.
just Karen and me. And I finally shut it off at 4 o'clock. I put it on night because I had like 1,000 things on my desk. I have deadlines, and I just thought
sure.
I'm never going to get out of here. Anyway, so today's Ash Wednesdays. Ash Wednesday is one of the most popular and important holy days in the liturgical calendar. It opens the season of Lent, which is, as Pete said, we were talking about breaking the fast. That's what made me think of it. And Lent is a season of fasting and prayer. Ash Wednesday takes place 46 days before Easter Sunday and is chiefly observed by Catholics, although many other Christians also observe Ash Wednesday. It comes from the ancient Jewish tradition of penance and fasting. The practice includes the wearing of ashes on the head. The ashes symbolize the dust from which God made us. Ashes also symbolize grief. In this case, grief that we have sinned and caused division from God. That is the belief. Writings from the 2nd century church refer to the wearing of ashes as a sign of penance. Priests administer ashes during Mass, and all are invited to accept the ashes as a visible symbol of penance. Even non-Christians are welcome to receive the ashes. The ashes are made from blessed palm branches that were taken from the previous year's Palm Sunday Mass. But here's my thing about Ash Wednesday. I know I say this every year, and I'm really glad that Jen is actually coming today, Jen Jafune, because I think that for me, Ash Wednesday and the season of Lent always opens up an opportunity to make a positive change in my life. And because Lent is 46 days, and Dr. Gorman has talked on his show, and he's been on this show previously, about the fact that when you want to make a lifestyle change, it doesn't happen overnight. And I think he said, and I think Jen has talked about this too, that it takes about 6 weeks for you to get into a rhythm or a routine of doing something. And I have found that Lent is a perfect opportunity, whether you're Catholic or not, whether you're Christian or not, but it's a great opportunity to sort of decide on some positive change that you want to make in your life. We tend to think of Ash Wednesday and Lent as, giving something up, but that's not necessarily the case. It may be taking something on. It may be taking on, an extra task or chore, or doing something nice for somebody, maybe making a phone call a day, especially during the pandemic, to cheer somebody up, or sending a note to a note a day to friends and family, again, just to kind of touch base during the pandemic. I remember when Grace was little, my daughter was little, and so we would do that during Lent. She would have to do one nice thing for someone else. And again, it was just to get her into the habit, because after you do that for 6 weeks, she really got good at kind of looking around. I remember we were walking home from the bus stop one day, and she was about maybe 7 or 8. And it was trash day. My neighbors, the trash truck had come, but the, trash cans. So we're walking home and Grace said, "Oh, I know my nice thing to do today." And I said, "Oh, what are you going to do?" And she said, "I'm going to take Mr. Beals, Mr. and Mrs. Beals' trash can up to from the driveway," because they're in their 80s.
Sure.
And put it up to the garage for them. And it was right. We were passing it on our way home. I said, "I think that's a great idea." So she did that. So I have decided this last Lent, I read the book. I'm trying to remember the name of the book now. It was almost like one inspirational thing per day. And it was really great. That was a wonderful project for me. This year, I have stored away. My father, who was a wonderful writer, wrote stories in the last years of his life before the Alzheimer's really set in about his days serving in the Army. He served in the armed forces. He served in World War II, about, high school days, college days, growing up, kind of his own personal history, which he did over several years. He would just, sit down at the computer and start writing these things, really more for himself, for his kids. And as he did them, he would send them to us. He would send them a few at a time. And, in my life, I live, as Gary said, I operate at warp speed. So if you think that I've ever had time to really sit down and read through all of these, I read a few at a time, and they're terrific. But I dug them up. I have them all filed. I dug them up, and I am going to read every night. So, so that way I'll really get the whole cohesiveness. My dad's now been gone for more than 10 years. And I just think this will be a wonderful way for me to kind of reconnect and learn some things about my dad that, I probably never knew. Are
they super personal stories or are they kind of general stories?
You know what? I don't know, Pete. I think both, but I think more general. And I think, honestly, I think it could be something that,
I was saying, could it be compiled into a book?
It probably could be. I was going to say it could probably be something that could be published. And yeah, I don't think it's,
we know a few good editors around here.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That might be a project Bob might take on.
Yeah. So that's my I'm actually really excited about that. So I had to find them all, and I had them, kind of buried in a safe spot, and I'm running around. I'm saying, okay, they're either in the study or in the bedroom, but I found them, and there are a lot of them.
So they're all on paper and everything?
They're all on paper. They're all hard copy. Yep, they're all typed up.
I was going to say, you might want to scan them in before they get something happens to them.
Well, I'm going to read through them, and I think that's a good idea. Yep, scan them all.
Some Saturday when you're there?
Yeah.
Just put them on the copier and just
scan them. Yep, exactly. So anyway, but for those of you who want to make a lifestyle change, maybe you want to be better at watching what you eat, or maybe you want to be, more committed to walking more, or doing some moderate exercise, or something like that. Lent is just Ash Wednesday, just a good time to get started. So that's my little pitch. It is 6:47. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. So in honor of National Hot Breakfast Month, which again we're going to talk more about when Jen gets here, we're going to listen to, this is a song from the musical Rich, Young and Pretty. I feel like Bob Plass here, because we're bringing in like the music of musicals.
Sure.
It's called How Do You Like Your Eggs in the Morning, and it's by Dean Martin and Helen O'Connell.
How do you like your eggs in the morning?
I like mine with a kiss.
Boiled or fried?
I'm satisfied as long as I get my kiss.
How do you like your toast in the morning?
I like mine with a hug.
Dark or light?
The world's all right as long as I get my hug. I've got to have my love in him.
Oh, the rest of my day is positively mayhem.
I'm a regular monster.
How do you like your eggs in the morning?
I like mine with a kiss.
Up or down?
I'll never frown. Eggs can be almost bliss.
Just as long as I get my kiss.
How do you like your eggs in the morning? I like mine with a kiss.
I like mine with a kiss.
Boiled or fried,
I'm satisfied
as long as I get my kiss.
How do you like your
How do
toast
you
in the
like
morning?
your toast
I like
in the
mine
morning?
with a hug.
I like mine with a hug.
Dark or light,
The world's all right as long as I get my hug. I've got to have my love in the AM.
oh, the rest of my day is positively mayhem.
I'm a regular monster.
How do you like your eggs in the morning?
I like mine with a kiss.
Up or down?
I'll never frown. Eggs can be almost bliss, just as long as I get my kiss.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Comcast and Xfinity.com, offering Xfinity TV, Internet, home phone, and home security services. Information on all that Xfinity has to offer in the Westfield area is available online at Xfinity.com.
Hi, this is Harry Rock, host of Rock on Westfield every fourth Wednesday at 8 a.m. Tune in for my view of this place I call home.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 6:51. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and I'm in studio this morning with, I imagine, a very excited Pete Coles because he's going to be getting away for a while.
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
Well, it's like
Change of scenery.
change of scenery is a good thing, Pete.
Yes.
And the launch is going, that's exciting.
Yeah, I'm not
Launches
sure
must-
whether I
launches
want
always
to
must
cover
be
it or
exciting.
just enjoy it. I think I might just enjoy this one.
I think this is, I
And
think that's
I'll
a
run
good
the
idea.
NASA feed and just enjoy it.
Yeah, I think, Pete, that, this is, let's get at least somewhat of a vacation for you here,
Yes.
and let's just enjoy it. I
Yeah.
think that's a great idea. Pete, it's interesting. As I was listening to that song, which I think is really a cute song, and you were asking me what we did for Thanksgiving, and for
Valentine's
Thanksgiving,
Day.
good Lord, for Valentine's Day.
Groundhog Day.
Well, I know. Well, I'll tell you why I have Thanksgiving on
I
mine.
know,
We'll
I
talk
know
about
the-
that
the
next.
turkey's
We got the
coming.
turkey dinner coming. But for Valentine's Day, and Gary he's never been one to experiment much in the kitchen for dinners, but he loves to cook breakfast.
Me too, yeah.
So he had said to me Saturday that he was going to make me breakfast on Valentine's Day. So we had a wonderful breakfast. It was he did eggs, but he put all these veggies in it and some cheese, and we had bacon, which was kind of a treat because we don't usually have a lot of that, and English muffins and boysenberry jam, and it was really delicious. So we are going to talk about some ways to make some pretty healthy breakfast. So Jen will do that. I think she ran in and then ran out. And she's
I took
coming
my
back.
girlfriend. Hopefully, she didn't set off the alarm. I took my girlfriend out to a place that it's barbecue and Asian fusion.
Okay.
It's an interesting joint right by where she lives, and it is very, very good.
Barbecue and Asian fusion.
Yeah.
That's a combo.
Yes.
There you go. Okay.
Yep. You get like pulled pork egg rolls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. That's kind of cool.
and just regular straight barbecue, Texas barbecue. So it's a cool joint.
All right, let's do. We have a couple of more birthdays today. This actor just passed away. He was on the front page of the Springfield Republican a couple of weeks ago. Hal Holbrook was born on this date in 1925. Actor, director, and writer. He was born in Cleveland, Ohio. He just died a few weeks ago, January 23rd, at the age of 95. Hal Holbrook first received critical acclaim in 1954. For a one-man stage show he developed called Mark Twain Tonight.
Yep.
While he was studying at Denison University, which, by the way, is in Ohio because my niece graduated from Denison, performing as Mark Twain. Hal Holbrook won the Tony Award for Best Actor in a Play in 1966 for his portrayal of Twain. He would continue to perform his signature role for over 60 years. only retiring the show in 2017 because of his failing health. Throughout his career, Holbrook also won 5 Primetime Emmy Awards for his work on television and was nominated for an Academy Award for his work in film. He gained international fame for his performance as Deep Throat in the 1976 film All the President's Men, which was about the Watergate scandal. Hal Holbrook played Abraham Lincoln in the 1976 miniseries Lincoln, and then in the 1985 miniseries North and South. He also appeared in such films as Julia, Wall Street, The Firm, Hercules, and Men of Honor. In 2003, Holbrook was honored with the National Humanities Medal by President George W. Bush. So, yep. And then finally, today is the birthday of NBA basketball player Michael Jordan. He was born on this date in 1963 in Brooklyn, New York. He's 58 years old. He is an American businessman and former professional basketball player. Michael Jordan is the principal owner and chairman of the Charlotte Hornets of the National Basketball Association and the 2311 Racing in the NASCAR Cup Series. Michael Jordan played 15 seasons in the NBA, winning 6 championships with the Chicago Bulls. He was integral in helping to popularize the NBA around the world in the 1980s and the 1990s, becoming a global cultural icon in the process. Jordan played college basketball for 3 seasons under Coach Dean Smith of the North Carolina Tar Heels. As a freshman, he was a member of the Tar Heels national championship team in 1982. He joined the Bulls in 1984 as the 3rd overall draft pick and quickly emerged as a league star, entertaining crowds with his prolific scoring while gaining a reputation as one of the game's best defensive players. His leaping ability, demonstrated by performing slam dunks from the free throw line in slam dunk contests, earned him the nickname Air Jordan. Jordan won his first NBA championship with the Bulls in 1991 and followed that achievement with titles in 92 and 93, securing a, as they call them, three-peat.
There you go.
Jordan abruptly retired from basketball before the 1993-94 NBA season to play minor league baseball, but he returned to the Bulls a year later in 1995 and led them to 3 more championships in 96, 97, and 98, as well as a then record 72 regular season wins in the 1995-1996 NBA season. He retired for a second time in January 1999, but returned for 2 more NBA seasons from 2001 to 2003 as a member of the Washington Wizards. And I have to admit that I don't remember Jordan playing for the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, it was right at the end.
At the end. You know, sometimes these guys just need to retire. But anyway, happy birthday, he was amazing to watch and just a lot of fun. And, of course, we have all of the Nike Jordan shoes and all that other good stuff. So, okay, so we were talking before. Remember, I had that little slip over there about Thanksgiving, and that is because next week is our Spread the Love curbside turkey luncheon. And I'm here to tell you folks, if you're up and you're listening, if you want a reservation, you better call us at 8:30 when that phone opens up, because we only have 7 slots left for the turkey dinner. They went like hotcakes. Mary Cohut, our clerk, said she thinks this was the fastest sellout that we've ever had. But I think part of it is everybody keeps talking about a turkey, like a turkey dinner with, stuffing, the whole bit in the middle of the winter, especially the winter that we're having, is everybody's just really looking forward to it. So we're calling it our Spread the Love curbside turkey luncheon. It's turkey with gravy, cornbread stuffing, a vegetable, cranberry sauce, and a Spread the Love special dessert. So we are taking reservations. We started taking reservations Friday at 1 o'clock. And it was funny because even yesterday morning, I had people saying, are there any left? I said, not a lot. So let's get your name and get you on the list. And our cap on this one is like 175, I think. I mean, it's up there,
Okay.
But so anyway, if you're interested, call the Senior Center this morning, 562-6435. And speaking of spreading the love, where's my other little cheat sheet here? I want to do my plug for the Noah List performance. Where are you, Noah? I'm losing here it is. Here it is, the love that surrounds us, the Noah List performance. And so what I've been doing with the Noah List performance, Pete, is I'm watching it. You have it up on YouTube, and I've been watching like 10 minutes at a time because I don't have time to watch the whole thing at once. So I'm watching, like I'm getting through the concert. It's so good. Noah List, how do you not love him? He's so perfect for the month of Valentine's Day and good hearts and all that other good stuff. So that performance is on Wednesday afternoons on Channel 15. So we still have today and next Wednesday at 2:40 p.m. and then Saturdays at 6 p.m. So we still have a couple Saturdays left. And as Pete likes to also kind of tell us that he sneaks it in on sometimes on Thursday afternoons as well. So if you're lucky and there's no meeting going on, that's the kicker.
It'll be on tomorrow.
Yeah. So it'll be on today and then tomorrow. So thank you to Noah List for doing that. Also, there was a really nice article in yesterday's Westfield News front page article on the technology support that the Westfield Technical Academy seniors are giving to our seniors. So I like to call this Seniors Helping Seniors. So if you got a smartphone, an iPad, a laptop, or even a new desktop computer, or one for the first time, and you don't know how to turn it on and start using it, you can call the Senior Center and we will schedule an appointment for you to connect with one of the seniors from the IT department here at Westfield Technical Academy. And they will, on the phone, walk you through it. The students that have done this so far have been wonderfully patient. The feedback from the seniors is that they've been really great about using everyday language that my older adults can understand. So you don't have to be concerned about, some techie on the other end of the phone telling you things and using phrases and words that you've never heard before. So this is just a great program. And it's good for both. It's good for both. It's good for the students are learning how to teach the seniors and interact, and they have to do it creatively on the phone. So they do it from here, from their shop here at the school. So there is supervision by the instructor. There you go. And so feel free to give us a call if you'd like some help with that. And if you do one session and then they feel like you need more, they'll schedule another session with you. So also remember that we have a new Zumba Gold class on Channel 15 starting this month in February. So if you are a Zumba Gold person, you have some new routines to do with Becca Perrone, who's the instructor. And as I keep saying, folks, if you've never tried some of these fitness programs, now's the time to do it. It's coming to you in your living room. Nobody has to watch you. So if you make mistakes or you can't do it all, or, you decide you want to switch it up and do something a little different than what the person on the screen is doing, nobody's going to notice. And Pete, are you ready for this? So yesterday I came home last night, speaking of fitness, and of course, Dr. Gary Gorman and my lovely daughter Grace have done 3 fitness videos for us that Pete has been airing. Gary got, he's working at Strength for Life right now, and Dr. Arnold is on the Massachusetts Chiropractic Society board. He's been on the board forever. So Joseph got a call from somebody on the board saying, hey, can you have a gym over there at Strength for Life. Can you do some kind of a video that we can use where people can exercise at home, but it has to be where they can, have things that they have right at home. It can't take up a lot of space. Exactly. That is exactly what Joseph Arnold said. He goes, yeah, that's already done because one of our colleagues, Dr. Gary Gorman, who's now working with me, already did 3 of those. So he said, we'll send them to you. Why reinvent the wheel? So Gary sent them to the Massachusetts Chiropractic Society yesterday. They went wild, Pete. They're like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we're looking for. So there you go. Pat yourself on the back, Pete. We are pretty great and one step ahead of the game. So there we go. All right. Okay, it is 7:03. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses on WCPC Cable Channel 15. We have a few more announcements, but we're going to bring our resident dietitian in here, Jen Jafune, and we're going to talk about heart health when we come back.
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by Westfield Bank. For more than 160 years, Westfield Bank has been an important community presence and commercial leader in the Pioneer Valley, with convenient full banking services in Westfield, West Springfield, East Longmeadow, Agawam, Feeding Hills, Springfield, Southwick, as well as Enfield and Granby, Connecticut. Visit us on the web at westfieldbank.org.
Underwriting for WSKB's community radio programming is brought to you in part by R. Levesque Associates. They are offering landscape architecture, civil engineering, environmental permitting, and land surveying. RLA is a second-generation company devoted to excellence in the planning and design of outdoor spaces. On the web at rlaland.com or at 40 School Street in Westfield.
Hi, it's Bob Plass, and I have Wow, It's Tuesday, every Tuesday, 6 to 8. Wow, it's Tuesday.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB.
I did it!
Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:07. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. You know, Pete, I never get tired of listening to that Bob Plass piece. Every time, you know, they all start laughing, JPEG Luca in the background. It's like I'm hearing it for the first time.
It's because it's natural, that's why.
So Bob Plass. I just love it. All right, that voice you hear is the chairman of the board, our producer, Pete Coles. And with me this morning is Jen Jafune, our we like to call her our WCPC registered dietitian over here. And let's see, where am I? Licensed nutritionist, registered dietitian. Jen the dietitian. That's her email.
Jen, it doesn't happen very often, but when she goes off the rails, it's fun.
There are times that it happens.
Are you talking into a microphone anywhere?
Oh, sorry. There you go.
I was like trying to find what mic she's on. I'm like, I can't find it.
There you go.
Oh, we need these for this?
Yeah, there you go. Is this your first time, Jen? Okay, I want to make two announcements before we start with Jen. One is I just want to remind folks that this month for our Westfield Council on Aging Presents series, which is hosted by Harry Rock, Harry interviewed...
we'll be interviewing.
Harold Anderson.
This month.
No, this month. No, we're not going to talk next month yet. We're not going to confuse people. We'll get there in March.
I got to record that down in Virginia.
Yeah, okay. So we'll take a break from that for now. But he interviewed Harold Anderson from Valley Eye Radio. And Pete and Harry and Ken Stomsky went over to Springfield to the Valley Eye Radio studio. So they took a little field trip. So that is, and those get aired every Tuesday at 2:45. So there's one more airing. So if you've missed it, that's why I want to remind folks. If you haven't heard it, please do. It's a great service to people in the community, Valley Eye Radio. It started a group of volunteers who wanted people with visual limitations to be able to get the news. And so they would read, and I can remember doing this when I was in graduate school back in 1,000 years ago, going to Valley Eye Radio, and we would read the newspaper. We each had different things that we were assigned to read, and so that they could turn on the radio. And now they're doing a lot more, and it's not just for people with visual. It's lots of different disabilities.
And hint, that could be on Thursday at 2:50.
Thank you, Pete. So Pete's putting some extra time in there for us. So thank you. So it's called Staying Connected Through Radio. And the other announcement that I wanted to make on behalf of my good friend Beth Cardillo over at Armbrook Village is just a reminder that the Alzheimer's Support Group has been meeting virtually throughout the pandemic. This has actually allowed a lot of families who don't live in the area to participate, whereas obviously when you do it in person and you live in, Texas or someplace, you can't. So this has been great, and they meet on the last Wednesday of the month, so they'll be meeting next Wednesday, February 24th at 6 p.m. So if you would like to be added to that Zoom invite list, then just contact Beth at B Cardillo. It's CARDILLO at armbrookvillage.com. And if you forget that, call the senior center. I'll give it to you, or call Armbrook Village, and they will get you on their list.
No
so
pun
that's,
intended.
Yeah, right. No pun intended. So there it is. Okay. So the voice that you're hearing there is Jen Jafune. And so, Jen, welcome.
Good morning.
For my cheat sheet here. There it is. Okay. So we are going to talk. This is the month of hearts, and
It is.
It's Valentine's month and Heart Health Month, and we're seeing. I have to say, I'm seeing a ton of stuff on heart health on just in the newspaper and our local TV channels and so forth, which is great. Just it's a good reminder for all of us.
It is.
And I also reminded folks that today is Ash Wednesday, so the beginning of Lent. So if you're going to do some lifestyle changes and
I
maybe
love
some,
Lent.
I do too, because it really gives me an opportunity. Do you know that? I'm trying to remember whether it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I gave up desserts and sweets for Lent because I thought if I could do it for that long, 46 days. Do you know that to this day, I have strayed a bit, but I haven't had chocolate. I haven't had anything, like cake, ice cream, I haven't had any of that in a couple of years. Because you do get into that,
which is actually not common. I have a lot of people who do the same thing.
Mhm.
They tell me they've, I gave up desserts or I gave up my salty snacks and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The day
Yes.
that they can go
That's
back
the key.
is
And
the
I
problem.
and you know what? I agree from a psychological standpoint. That was the day, like Easter Sunday, when I said, "Nope, I'm not going to do this because I think if I can continue." And then it became, you kind of taught me this, and it became, well, let's see if I can do this for one more week. Let's make it 7 weeks. And then, well, let's see if I can do it for another week. Let's see if I could do it for another day.
Hey, listen,
And it was like-
sugar's a hard addiction to kick.
It is.
It is. And, now I will have, I'll have a piece of pie, but like a fruit pie.
Right.
I don't, I'll have, I really like pumpkin pie. So I figure, well, that, on the dessert list, that's the, it's not like, super sweet stuff. But anyway, that's just, that's my story. But it is a good opportunity as we begin to talk about heart health on maybe some changes to make.
To make a lifestyle change, you need at least 21 days of a consecutive effort, no matter what your lifestyle change is. And if it's not consecutive, because nobody's perfect, you still need about 21 days. So
I
may
thought it was
spread out
actually longer than
longer.
that. We were talking about that before you came. And I think I said, I know Gary's talked about this, and I think Jen has too, that, it's not like 2 days, that
Right.
it's not a lifestyle change.
That's why I like Lent, because it's
Yes,
twice as long.
exactly. That's my thing. It's 46 days. So, that's plenty of time to kind of get into a habit.
My best
rhythm.
Lent,
Yes.
I believe, was I gave up excuses. So all those things
Wow.
I was not motivated to do,
Yeah.
I forced myself to do because it was Lent and I said,
Yeah.
no more excuses. So my biggest example is at the time I was afraid to donate blood. And because the first time I did it, I got very nauseous, 24 hours of feeling very ill. And like the second day of Lent, I'm driving home from my old office, and there I see a sign.
You saw a
blood drive
sign.
today here, and I said to myself, well, if the light turns green, I won't stop. And I was like, the light turned green, but I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
I had to go, and then
No excuses.
then I go in and I say, how long is this going to take? And they said an hour. And I'm like, well, I can't do this. The kids are going to be getting off the bus. And then I'm like, they are totally old enough to let them, walk down the
But the kids are 15,
7
so I
houses.
guess it's okay, yeah.
And then I was like, so I turned back around and I signed up, and I'm getting ready to donate, and there's Don Humison donating blood. And I was telling him how last time I had a bad experience, and he tells me this even worse thing, not about donating blood, but
Okay.
about kids and getting off the bus
Oh, no.
alone.
Oh,
and
geez.
I was ready to book, and then I was like, no excuses. So I wound
Get
up
it out of your head.
donating blood.
And how was it?
Oh, it was fine.
It was easy, right?
And I got my little sticker, and that night I had to go to an event, and I had to change my clothes, pulled the sticker off,
and
put
put
on
it
a new
on
outfit.
because it was like, hey, I did this. No
Yeah.
excuses.
So
Good
yes.
job.
So I thought that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Not donating blood that
Yeah,
day,
but just-
giving up excuses. Too tired to get on the treadmill? Get on the treadmill. Don't feel like drinking that glass of water? You got to drink the water. I couldn't excuse my way out of anything.
Boy, that's a very creative one. One of the most creative ones that I've
Well,
heard.
And it was so hard.
That is hard.
I did it once.
I guess you don't. I guess you don't realize, sort of how all this self-talk.
Yeah, that's exactly that.
All right, before we get started, because I'm looking at the clock, so it's 7:16. So let's take our break, and then we're going to jump into
heart health or
heart health.
breakfast.
Well, I think we can dovetail them. So let's do breakfast first. Okay. So it's 7:16. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. So we're going to bring Jen in with her own theme song. This is No Sugar Tonight by the Guess Who.
Inside, find a corner where I can hide. Silent footsteps crowding me. Sudden darkness, but I can see. No sugar tonight in my coffee. No sugar tonight in my tea. No sugar to stand beside me. No sugar to run with me. It's the new Mother Nature taking over. She's getting us us all. She's getting us all.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England. Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is February 17th. It is 7:22, and you're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and in the studio with me this morning is Jen Jaffoon, our diabetes dialogue facilitator. So February is National Hot Breakfast Month, which I mentioned earlier, which I think is kind of fun and exciting, especially for those, now with the pandemic, we have so many people that are home more. So there's a little bit more flexibility with maybe making a hot breakfast. So I promised our viewers and our listeners, Jen, that you would come with some ideas for them, some healthy hot breakfast ideas. So run with it.
Okay. So first of all, when people talk about hot breakfast, they usually just say, well, I have eggs or I have oatmeal,
right,
and I'm getting bored of that, or it's not healthy for me. And so I loved this idea when you told me it was Hot Breakfast Month, because honestly, I rely on you for what day of the week or month it is.
Absolutely.
And so the first thing I did was write down a few ideas of what I consider easy hot breakfast, but then I pulled out some cookbooks. So, I have a patient a few years ago who said, I really hate the consistency of oatmeal, but I want to eat it.
Okay.
So he came up with this recipe-ish. I never got an actual recipe.
Yeah.
But you make enough oatmeal to fill a loaf pan.
Okay.
And you can fill it with what you think you like. So he, walnuts and cinnamon and some vanilla extract, some blueberries.
Yeah.
And you throw it in the loaf pan, you stick it in the fridge.
Okay.
So it solidifies.
So you make the oatmeal.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you put it, so you add whatever, you stir it up like a batter almost.
Right.
Put it in a loaf pan, put it in the fridge.
And let it solidify.
Okay.
And then he would take it out and slice it and pan cook it like a French toast kind of thing.
Get out of here.
And I was like, that is so ingenious.
Did he come up with this on his own, or did he read this up? That is,
you know what? I never got a recipe, but I was like, that is such a great idea. So it still
That might be for a way for me to try oatmeal, because I don't like the consistency. I don't like tapioca or oatmeal.
Grace doesn't either, but I bet, but she loves French toast and things like that. I just think that would
something
be
with a little bit of crunch
it.
And then a little bit of soft and crunch. Yeah,
exactly.
I love that.
So that's one of my favorite things. But muffins are also another option.
Yes.
And I have been exploring lots of muffin varieties because I had a bumper crop of summer squash and zucchini.
Yep.
So this summer I shredded, I think I had 15
bags,
2-quart bags of zucchini and summer squash.
Yeah.
So I've been throwing a bag in each batch.
Mm-hmm.
So I have vegetables and fiber, but you can't taste it. It's almost like making a carrot kind of muffin.
Yep.
And you can throw all kinds of, you get a basic batter, you throw in what you like or what you feel is healthy. Again, nuts and seeds and, this last batch I made was lemon poppy seed with summer squash.
Well, I haven't made them in a long time, but I used to do that with pancakes. And I have like a zillion recipes for, zucchini pancakes and, all kinds of other veggie pancakes.
Yep.
And I used to do that when Grace was little as a way to hide the vegetables in things that she liked, like pancakes, put a little syrup on it, but you've got all these, carrots and zucchini and all this other stuff. But I hadn't, it's been so long, I kind of forgot about all that. But muffins too. Great idea.
They take time.
Yeah.
But you make one batch of muffins you can eat for
Yeah.
Depending on how many people are at home.
Sure.
I made a batch the other day of 12. I sent 6 out to my daughter in Oregon who pleaded for some homemade food for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
But another thing, I have a lot of people who don't like big breakfasts, but they want something hot. How about making a baked apple in the microwave?
Oh,
Throw in a few raisins, some cinnamon. You chop it in half, put the topping on, a minute in the microwave, and you've got a hot breakfast.
Wow, what a great idea.
Some easy things. If you want a little protein on it, you can put a dollop of ricotta after it comes out, so it's not melted, but it's warm.
Right. I was thinking, too, like cottage cheese.
Well, the reason I don't say cottage cheese is it has 3 times the
Salt.
sodium.
Yeah, I've heard that, because I have cottage cheese every day. Not a lot, but I have heard that.
Yeah, it's
it
super
has
high.
a lot of,
There are a few lower sodium brands. Friendship makes one, and we can find that around here. And I think there's a couple of store brands.
Okay. But ricotta, so
ricotta.
that's, good.
Yep. I do have, at least when I was working more in the Springfield area, I had a big population that was Asian, and they have what they consider their traditional breakfast, which is broth, a few noodles, maybe some fish or chicken, and vegetables.
Yes.
So breakfast doesn't have to be breakfasty.
Right. I did too. I had some foreign students when I was teaching at Springfield College, and I remember them doing an exercise for me, and that came out, and I was like, they were talking about, well, we had soup for breakfast, and I was like, soup for breakfast, but that is cultural.
It is.
So,
And, why not? I have one of my sisters, for probably half her childhood, ate a hamburger every morning for breakfast.
Wow, really?
Or soup. She
Okay.
just wasn't a breakfast person.
Yeah.
And,
I love breakfast.
I tortured her relentlessly, being the 2 years older sister, but, that's what you do when you're kids.
Well, something that we had, because I have my own little list here as well, but one of the things that I've never had before, but my kitchen crew made it 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago when we had some snow, was breakfast pizza.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard? And it was, oh my God, it was to die for. It was, so it was pizza, thin pizza crust, but then it was eggs, but then they threw all these vegetables on top and some cheese.
Right.
And, you could really put on whatever you want.
Well, yesterday,
so good.
my daughter took some leftover rice that I had made, put 1 egg in it, and I have this like kimchi, which is
I don't know what that is.
It is a fermented cabbage. She likes pickled stuff.
Okay, yes,
and
yes.
it's good for the body.
Ask Kenny. I think he makes his own. It's Korean.
Really?
Okay.
A Korean fermented cabbage.
Okay.
Yep. So that was her breakfast.
Nice.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to share, thanks to the Westfield Public Library,
Okay.
I got this book free
Cooking
off of
Light.
the cart outside. When you go to pick up books, they have
Yes.
a cart now of free if you want it.
Oh, they
And
do. I
Yes.
did not know that.
It's great. So there were a bunch of like muffin ideas and egg ideas in here. And then I bought this book for myself called Great Bowls of Food.
Okay.
And they have a whole breakfast section. And this is my favorite that I want to try. It's called Pumpkin Spice Brown Rice with Ricotta. So it's...
Oh my God, that's, first of all, I love pumpkin. So,
yeah.
Oh,
so
that
it's,
sounds
it's
so
brown
good. What
rice
is that?
with some ricotta on top. But the brown rice, you just stir in pumpkin spice seasoning, a little vanilla, a little extra cinnamon. They threw in some cranberry, dried like craisins,
Yes.
and walnuts,
Yeah.
and then a dollop of ricotta on top.
That sounds awesome.
But they have, oatmeal that they make with matcha. Matcha is green tea flavor. It's a very earthy taste.
Okay.
And they put fruit on it, and there's a lot out there, and you can just use leftover dinner stuff.
Sure.
So this
sure.
is
And what about, are there, we always talk about oatmeal. Are there other hot cereals that you would
you
kind of
can
recommend?
use quinoa. You can use, which has some protein in it.
Okay.
And fiber. There's bulgur, which is a thicker grain.
Yeah.
You can use brown rice, obviously. I mean, you can even use white rice if you portion control things. And there's millet, and there's wheat berries. I mean, there's a million things out there. There's polenta. as your base. So if you don't like oatmeal, there are other options for
Okay.
hot cereals.
But we're all going to try this oatmeal loaf.
Yeah, I
thing.
know.
This sounds good. Has he ever tried it with vegetables in it?
You
Like,
know
I'm
what?
thinking of your shredded zucchini.
Yeah.
Now, that would add a water content, so it might not
Well, yes
solidify.
and no. I have found, you
You
all
can
the
squeeze
recipes,
it,
you
right?
squeeze it out,
Yeah.
right? But if you freeze it first and then defrost it, a ton of water comes out, and then you squeeze it, and it really.
Well, I was thinking too, Jen, when you were talking about the muffins before, you can make those and you can freeze them.
Oh, yeah.
Then you take them out and just warm them up, and there's your hot breakfast, your, like vegetable
super
muffin.
easy. Yeah.
Oh, this is so great. Of course, I'm starving because I've been up since 4:15. But all right, we're going to take a short break. We're going to get into some of the heart stuff. But I thank you for that because those are exciting. I'm excited. I learned all
I'm
this new
glad.
stuff too. I didn't know the Athenaeum was giving away free books.
Oh, I have quite a few now.
There we are. All right, it is 7:32. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. So we're going to listen to Rod Stewart singing Rhythm of My Heart because we're going to talk about the heart next.
Perfect.
Across the street, the river runs down in the gutter. Life is slipping away. Let me still exist in another place, running on the cover of a helicopter plane. Flames are getting higher in efforts, burning down the bridges of my memory. Love may still be alive somewhere, some way, where they're down and only dear 100 steel towns away. Oh, the rhythm of my heart is beating like a drum, with the words I love you rolling off my tongue. No, never will I roam, for I know my place is home, where the ocean meets the sky. I'll be sailing. Photographs, kerosene, light up my darkness, light it up, light it up, light it up. I can still feel a touch of your thin blue jeans, running down the alley. I got my eyes all over you, baby, oh baby. Oh, the rhythm of my heart is beating like a drum, with the words I love you rolling off my tongue. No, never will I roam, for I know my place is home, where the ocean meets the sky. I'll be sailing. I'll be sailing. I got lightning in my veins, swimming like a hangover slot machine. Love may still exist in another place. I'm just yanking back the handle, no expression on my face. The rhythm of my heart is beating like a drum, with the words I love you rolling off my tongue. Oh, never will I roam, for I know my place is home, where the ocean meets the sky. I'll be sailing. The rhythm of my heart is beating like a drum, with the words I love you rolling off my tongue. ocean meets the sky, I'll be sailing.
Support for community radio on WSKB is provided by Betts Plumbing and Heating Supply Company, an independent, family-owned wholesaler serving Westfield for over 50 years, specializing in plumbing, heating, and industrial piping supplies. On the web at bettsplumbing.com or at 14 Coleman Avenue in Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM, WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:37. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host, and we are in the studio this morning with Jen Jafune, our diabetes dialogue facilitator. So we've been listening to Rod Stewart singing about the rhythm of his heart because we're going to talk about heart health.
Absolutely. Good time of year to do that.
Absolutely. So where would you like to start?
Well, I want to start with some statistics. And I know that's, numbers are kind of boring, but I think these are really important to know. Most people know there's a strong connection with people who have diabetes also having heart disease.
Mm-hmm.
And I was surprised myself by this number that I found that 70 to 80% of the people with type 2 diabetes have high blood pressure.
That's
huge.
Yeah, that's huge. 80% is, that's more than 3/4, folks.
Right.
That's a lot of people.
And people, I've done this for many years. People who have diabetes are 2 to 4 times more likely to die from cardiovascular disease than diabetes complications. So it's a huge issue in the diabetes community, and I believe people need to pay attention. And I've often gotten this question, well, what difference is it really going to make if I make some of these changes? So I know the answer now, specifically.
Okay, do tell.
So let's say you've been diagnosed with high blood pressure, which means your blood pressure is 140/90 or higher. With diabetes, the goal is to be 130/80 or lower.
Okay.
So, we talk about losing some weight. If you were overweight, so I'm not talking about someone who's normal body weight or underweight, but if you're overweight and let's say you lose 10 pounds.
Okay.
You'll drop your, the way the blood pressure is read is millimeters of mercury. So if you lose about 10 pounds, you'll drop that by 5.
Okay.
So
that's kind of significant.
There's a big difference.
Yes.
If you add in exercise, and we're talking about 30 minutes, 5 days a week.
Okay.
You can drop it by another 5 to 8.
Okay.
If you change over to balanced healthy eating, where you're having whole grains, some fruit, lots of vegetables, lean protein, heart healthy fat, you can drop it maybe by 11.
Okay.
And if you then also pay attention to how much sodium you're having and you cut out salting the foods at the table, you make more of your own homemade foods instead of the ready-to-eat high sodium foods. You cut the salt in half in cooking, you drop it by another 5 or 6. So if you add all of that up, you could be dropping your blood pressure by 30 to 40 points.
That's a lot without, by the way, taking any pills. I didn't notice, I didn't hear anything about medication in there. I heard about, some exercise. I heard about some dietary changes and absolutely.
So I know that it's hard. I'm not saying that these things are easy.
Sure.
But people say to me, well, what's the point? Can't they just put me on a pill? And I say, why go on a pill when you could be doing these things to make yourself better? I mean, it doesn't work all the time. Sometimes there's other complicating factors.
Right.
But if you can make a difference, why wouldn't you? One of the things that I learned is the American Heart Association considers diabetes to be one of the 7 major controllable risk factors for heart disease. So, why not?
Take control.
Take control. People often say, well, I have no control. This is taking over my body. It's taking over my life. Well, you can take back some of that.
Yeah.
And, I'm not talking about prepping for a marathon with the exercise. It could be even chair exercises.
Yep.
It could be walking or marching in place. It could be walking the halls of Home Depot or Walmart or whatever in town. Obviously with your mask on these days. But
Yes.
We're not talking big, massive exercise plans.
Right. Like we're going to go out and exercise for 2 hours a day, 7 days a week. We're not talking about that.
And, I'm not talking about fancy cooking. It could be raw veggies thrown, a handful of carrots thrown onto a plate where you have a tuna sandwich.
Yep.
Voila.
Yeah, there
vegetables.
it is. Yeah, vegetables, right? Veggies. Yeah.
And if you're used to the processed foods, it's as simple as going from canned veggies to frozen veggies. It's as simple as throwing your own chicken in the oven instead of buying the rotisserie chicken. It is cooking your own rice from scratch, which is not hard, instead of buying the ready-made, just heat up in the microwave.
Right.
So, yes, it takes some work, but obviously you can really make a dent. And then the other side of the coin is, let's say you're already on meds. This all backs it up, because if you don't add these actions, you're going to now be on 2 meds or 3 meds.
Yes. Or the dosage is going to keep getting increased.
Exactly.
And those medications, I think it's, medications can be a wonderful thing. Let's face it. They can be a lifesaver, but they don't come without complications and side effects. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you're not going to skate through with, okay, so now I'm going to be on 3 or 4 medications as opposed to 1 medication, or they're going to up the dosage. Don't think that that's not going to create some kind of a side effect, whether it's gastrointestinal or whether it's whether it's making you drowsy or whether it's making you not be able to fall asleep.
What's the biggest thing I hear?
What?
Dry mouth.
It's interesting because the biggest one that I've heard over the years primarily has been gastrointestinal, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Dry mouth.
Yeah. I mean, yes. People do get upset stomachs. Sometimes they can change when they take their meds and things like that, or change the medication.
Yeah, the
completely.
combination sometimes,
Yeah, but dry
mouth, huh?
Because you're awake all day and you're you're parched and so what do people turn to? Little candies.
Yes.
And
oh
if you
my
have
gosh,
diabetes.
That's right.
That's going to mess you up. So, there are
goodness.
ways around it. I strongly support the Biotin product line. So they're not adding carbs, but it's a way to moisten the mouth. They have lozenges and they have mouthwash and they have all kinds of things you can put in your mouth to keep it from feeling that parch. But
that's Jen, that's a side effect of some medications is just that dry mouth.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, again, all the more reason. In my opinion, it's just the fewer medications, the better.
Right.
The lower the dosage, the better.
Right.
If you're going to eliminate them all together, that's phenomenal.
It's great.
But but even just curbing them, is really helpful.
And a couple of things I want to point out is, people who are big salt addicts. So they salt their foods while they're cooking. They salt their foods at the table. They're grabbing for chips over candy. I have people, they're sweet eaters or they're savory salt eaters. It does take 3 months to get used to lower sodium. So you have to give yourself time.
Yeah.
And it's not going to taste the same.
Right.
If you go from canned green beans to frozen green beans when you go to eat them.
Yep.
Doesn't mean you have to eat anything plain. Throw on all the herbs and spices that you want as long as they don't have the name salt in them. So garlic powder, not garlic salt.
Right.
Onion powder, not onion salt. But it does take 3 months. And the reason that it takes 3 months is your taste buds on your tongue, and you have millions of them, become sodium sensitive. And a taste bud's lifespan is 3 months. So today, you have newborn baby taste buds and you have dying taste buds and everything in between. So it's not like they all fall off at 3 months.
Okay, this is my day. I'm losing the taste buds. Yeah,
But
okay.
over the 3-month period, things will start to taste more and more until you get to that 3-month mark and all of a sudden food tastes better.
Yeah. Well, I think interesting too. I mean, I've actually watched people do this, which just totally blows my mind. You know, you'll serve something.
Yeah.
And they'll put the salt on before they've tasted it.
I know.
And my thing is always, whoa, taste it. I already salted that.
Right.
You know, and so my thing is like, oh my gosh, you really have to get into that habit of, you know, tasting before you just start throwing. The funny thing is I very rarely, I don't use a lot of salt. I just feel like there's so many things that are out there that are already salted and salty that I don't need to.
Right.
So, I mean, I can buy a container of salt. It'll last me for like 2 years. I mean, I'm going to throw it out because it expired before, you know.
Well, I'll cook with a little salt, but I never have salt on the table.
I don't usually put it out routinely. I'll put it out if somebody asks me for it. But it's just not anything that anybody in my family, you know. But you know, there are people that are going to grab that salt shaker before they even.
Yeah, I'm related to some of those people.
Yeah, we probably all are. Interesting though, but I didn't know that about the taste buds.
Yeah, and one of the other things I wanted to say is, besides being patient about the taste, you want to make sure you stay hydrated, especially if you have a high sodium intake. So if you are eating a lot of those salty, savory foods, you will retain those fluid. You will retain fluid because of the sodium load until you take in enough water to flush it out.
Yep.
And it takes 3 days. So if you're continually having high sodium foods, you're going to continually retain those fluids, which is going to affect that blood pressure.
Yeah.
And your weight.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
You know, you have to take both of those into consideration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take a short break. It is 7:48. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC cable channel 15. My guest this morning is Jen Jaffoon. She's facilitating our diabetes dialogue segment on the third Wednesday of every month. So we're going to listen to Herman's Hermits singing "Can't You Hear My Heartbeat?" and we'll be back.
Every time I see you looking my way, baby, baby, can't you hear my heartbeat? In the park or walking down the highway, baby, baby, can't you hear my heartbeat? When you move up closer to me, I get a feeling that's ooey. Can't you hear the pounding of my heartbeat? 'Cause you're the one I love. You're the one I love. When I feel you put your arms around me, baby, baby, can't you hear my heartbeat? Then I'm mighty glad I found you, baby, baby, can't you hear my heartbeat? When you asked me to meet your mom, I knew that baby we'd be going far. Can't you hear the pounding of my heartbeat? 'Cause you're the one I love. You're the one I love. All my friends are crying out to meet you, baby, baby, can't you hear my heartbeat? Now's the time to go and see the preacher, baby, baby, can't you hear my heartbeat? Wedding bells are gonna chime, baby, baby, you're gonna be mine. Can't you hear the pounding of my heartbeat? 'Cause you're the one I love. You're the one I love. Baby, baby, can't you hear my heartbeat? Baby, baby, can't you hear my heartbeat? Baby, baby, can't you hear
Support for the community programming of WSKB is provided by the Dunkin' Donut Shops of Westfield and the Sardinia family. It's nice to know that even as the world changes, Dunkin' Coffee remains the same at 7 convenient locations throughout Westfield.
I'm Mark Auerbach. Join me every Friday at 8 a.m. for Arts Beat, where you'll meet interesting actors, directors, designers, and musicians here in Western New England.
Community Radio.
89.5 WSKB. Live from Studio 120 at Westfield Technical Academy, this is WCPC Channel 15 and 89.5 FM WSKB Westfield.
Good morning, Westfield. It is 7:51. You're listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield masses and WCPC Cable Channel 15. My name is Tina Gorman. I'm your Wake Up Wednesday host. And in the studio this morning for our Diabetes Dialogue segment is Jen Jafune. We're talking about heart health, and you talked a little bit about blood pressure and some ways to lower blood pressure because you started, Jen, with some really interesting and I guess kind of disturbing statistics about the number of folks with diabetes who also have high blood pressure. And so some ways to bring that down to create more heart health.
So, when we talk about heart health, though, we also have to talk about cholesterol and triglycerides. So just to give the overview, total cholesterol, we need cholesterol. It helps with hormone function that's a key part of it. But if you broke it down into its component parts, everyone's heard of LDL, HDL.
Right.
LDL is the bad and HDL is the good. Okay. And the way I've always remembered it is LDL is lousy, starts with L.
Okay.
Lousy starts with L. HDL starts with H, and heart healthy starts with H.
Okay.
So I've always remembered it that way.
Okay.
And then what you want to see from these numbers, LDL starts with L, lower starts with L. You want LDL lower, HDL starts with H. It's heart healthy,
that higher.
and you want it higher.
Okay.
So it's silly, but it's how I've always remembered it.
And that is how I'm going to remember because I always get those mixed up. I'm just like, okay, one of it's good, one is bad, but I can't remember which.
And then there's the big long word triglycerides. No one ever knows what that means. Tri means 3. Glyceride means fats. It's 3 fats stuck together.
Okay.
And so when your blood sugar is high, your body sends a message to the brain that the blood sugar is high, so the brain sends a message out to the body to turn some of the sugar into triglycerides just to lower the blood sugar.
Okay.
But then the body sends a message to the brain that says the triglycerides are high, and the brain sends a message back that says, let's get it out of the blood. Let's put it in your belly.
We have to store it someplace.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you're now at increased risk for a heart attack or stroke.
Okay.
So we have to pay attention to these numbers. And what we have found is people with diabetes tend to have lower HDL. So those don't go together because lower is starting with L.
Right.
HDL starts with H. It's
No,
going in
we
the
don't
wrong
want
direction.
that. Okay.
It can raise your triglycerides and it can make your LDLs higher.
Okay.
So again,
doing
not-
the opposite
not
of
the
what we
right.
want.
Yeah.
This is not the recipe that we're looking for.
What we also know is that trifecta has a name. It's called diabetic dyslipidemia. So it means these numbers are wrong and they're in the heading in the wrong direction. And it can not only increase your risk for heart disease or stroke, but it affects your insulin sensitivity.
Okay.
So insulin sensitivity means you have insulin coming out of the body, you have sugar, they're supposed to hook up together and go into the cells. Well, if you impact that, when they hook up together, they can't get in to the cells. So it means the sugar's floating around.
Which is what we don't want.
Which is what
we don't want floating sugar.
So how do we impact that? Well, losing some weight, exercise, heart-healthy eating. I mean, it's really not very different from everything we talked about with blood pressure. The one thing that I do want to add is oftentimes when people have high blood pressure, the doctor will say, you need to go on the DASH diet. And the DASH diet stands for, and I can never remember it, Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension. That's what DASH stands for.
Okay.
And it's lean protein, heart-healthy fats, lots of veggies and fruit. The one difference between the DASH diet if you just have high blood pressure and the DASH diet if you have diabetes is you can't have as much fruit as they recommend, and you have to portion control the grains and the starches. But that DASH diet, if you do that, will impact not only blood pressure, but it'll impact cholesterol if you make choices that will directly affect cholesterol. So you would choose oatmeal, for example,
Right.
As your grain of choice, because we know oats help lower cholesterol.
Okay.
So it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone.
Yep. And the oatmeal box tells you that right on the
Right,
on the
right.
oatmeal. But you know, Jen, I was thinking just for those who think, well, wait a minute, I want to go back to the fruit thing for just 1 minute
Right.
because you know a lot of people think, but fruit is healthy. That's a good
know,
thing, right?
isn't it?
So can you explain? I mean, I
Yeah.
know why, but can you explain why that would be a difference? What is it about fruit?
Sure. I have a lot of philosophies, and one of them is this when it comes to food. Some is good, more is not necessarily better.
Okay.
And that applies across the board. Doesn't matter if you have diabetes,
Yep.
GI problems, heart, whatever. So fruit is good. Fruit offers vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin A. It offers a lot of phytochemicals, which mean it's a fancy word for naturally existing chemicals that can help with health issues. And it has fiber, and we know fiber helps
That's a
with
good
weight
thing.
management. It helps with blood sugar control. But just like anything else, it also contains carbohydrates, and we need some. That helps our brain think. It helps your heartbeat. It helps you do your exercise. It helps you walk across the room or think. But if you have excess carbs coming in, then your blood sugar goes up.
Yeah.
Then your triglycerides can go up. Then your risk for heart disease can go up. So it has that domino effect. So some is good, more is not necessarily better. Most adult women, I recommend 2 fruit a day. Most adult men, 3, but it really varies.
Okay.
And what what it's based on is other complications you have going on with your health. How active you are. So if I have someone who's really working out a lot, then their fruit intake can be higher.
Yep.
If I have someone who is completely immobile, their intake may be lower. I have people who have 1 fruit a day, and I say to them, if you want to have fruit 4 times during the day, take that apple, cut it in 4, save 3 in the fridge, eat 1 now. A couple
Right.
hours later, eat the next quarter.
Just spread it out.
Yeah, spread it out.
Yeah.
Because that way you never overload your body's capability to process that blood sugar.
Okay.
So yeah, it's that general rule of thumb comes in play for most foods.
So some is good.
More is not necessarily better.
Okay, that sounds good. So we have just a couple of minutes, Jen. So let's just kind of summarize a little bit about what you've talked about today, because we can, of course, pick up any of these themes down the road and go into more detail.
So there are lifestyle changes that you can make that can impact your blood pressure, your blood sugar, and your blood cholesterol numbers all in one fell swoop. And by doing so, you will significantly improve your health and decrease your need for medications and or back up the medications you already have. So changes could be as simple as getting the salt shaker off the table, homemaking more of your foods so that they're less processed and need fewer preservatives and you can control the amount of salt in there. Choosing heart-healthy fats, so olive oil over butter, portion controlling, fats, grains, fruit, loading your plates with lots of vegetables, making sure you're staying hydrated. And there are other lifestyle factors that I didn't even bring up, but I have on the handout that I'm going to give you, like quit smoking, lower your caffeine intake, practice stress relief techniques, call on the cavalry. So nobody has to go it alone. Get help. Get a healthcare team together, get your friends to support you, get your family around you rallying to support you. See a dietitian if you need to see one. See a therapist if you need to see one, but don't feel like you have to do this alone. But all of these changes, I'm not talking about doing for 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. I'm talking about doing that from now until the end of your time.
Forever.
Yep.
forever.
Yeah.
So, all right, some good tips to get us started. Remember, it is Ash Wednesday. It's
Yes.
Lent. So even if you take one of Jen's ideas and focus on that for the next 46 days, that's a really good start.
You can make a
so
difference.
you can make a difference. All right, you are listening to WSKB 89.5 FM radio for the Westfield Masses and WCPC cable channel 15. I thank you so much for listening. Jen, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having
Just
me.
as a reminder, next week Pete will be on vacation. Sort of. It's a vacation-ish, but he will be away. So we're going to do a best of show. So he and I will choose something that we think you'll enjoy. I'll be back in 2 weeks, and that will be the first Wednesday in March. So we'll have Dr. Gary Gorman with us. Gary's been going through his list of 7 tips for a well-balanced, healthy life. It's his own.
Nice.
It's not out of a book. It's like he could, write this book. So I think we're like at number 5 or something right now. So we've been kind of chipping away at the list. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, stay physically distant but socially connected. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Support for the community program